Uh, Good evening, Vedanta Aluminium.
Yeah, we've got actually everybody from all over Vedanta, not just from aluminium.
Oh, sorry.
We didn't want to restrict the good fortune of having you over only to the aluminium family.
I'll correct myself. Good evening, Vedanta.
So we've invited all our sibling employees from all our sibling companies, Hindustan Zinc Limited, KN Oil and Gas, Vedanta Aluminium, yes, of course, iron ore business, Sterlite Copper. So there are, time goes by, our colleagues will start letting them in. But I know you've been in a beach cleaning mission even today, and thank you so much for making time on this busy day. Welcome everybody to this fabulous inspirational session with Mr. Afroz Shah. I'll just take a minute and introduce him to you. Mr. Afroz Shah is a lawyer by profession and he's practicing at the Mumbai High Court. But we know him to be the very famous, globally acclaimed environmentalist that he is. He's the driving force behind the largest initiative of beach cleanup in world history, as mentioned by the United Nations at Versova Beach. The journey that he set out on 7 years ago has now become a mass movement. Honored by the United Nations as champion of the earth, he is the founder of the Afroz Shah Foundation, a philanthropic initiative tackling marine litter by cleaning rivers, beaches, ocean, and mangroves, which has so far removed 66 million kgs of plastic and filth. Along with beach cleanups, the foundation and the team is running mindset change ground action programs to adopt a circular economy and implement UN Sustainable Development Goals. Mr. Afroz Shah has been a speaker at prestigious global forums like the United Nations, Smithsonian Earth Optimism, ocean conferences, and many, many more. Currently, his team is working on the Dana Pani beach cleanup and the Mithi River rejuvenation in Mumbai. So welcome, Mr. Afroz Shah, all over again. At Vedanta, we take our environment, our climate very, very seriously. We're extremely passionate about it as a corporate. We've got 3 pillars on which we're working. In fact, we've changed our branding from Vedanta Transforming Elements to Vedanta Transforming for Good. And we're working on 3 pillars of transforming the environment, transforming our communities, and transforming our workplace. So over to you today. The topic for the session today is to see how an individual can really take on this enormous task of climate action, because we feel, oh, hum kya kar sakte hain, one person, how can we make any impact on this monumental crisis that we're facing? And we couldn't think of anyone better than you to tell us how you embarked on this journey and what your story has been. So over to you, Mr. Afroz Shah.
Sonal, I think instead of me doing like a monologue where I keep on talking and face the camera, first of all, in these tiring times, I prefer seeing people's eyes and talking. We all love that, don't you? But now, since we are in a virtual mode, I would request Sonal if we can have like a dialogue and Q&A, and then I'll expand. That makes more sense. The audiences can ask questions.
So we have a bunch of questions that we've collected from everyone.
Yes.
And the first question that we have is, please share your journey from being a lawyer to now being known as the famous face behind the world's largest beach cleanup at Versova. What drove you towards this initiative of beach cleanup?
First of all, Sonal, I must inform everybody who is listening to me, beach cleanup is highly misunderstood. People think beach cleaning means clean beaches. So you'll go clean and it'll become a clean beach. But to tell you the fact, you see, we in India and globally as human race, we are very good at learning while doing. Okay, so when you learn while doing and you lead by example, especially as a lawyer, when you join the bar the first year, you are actually learning while you're being briefed by clients and solicitors. So that's a great start too. So what we do at the beach is we get people at the flashpoint of pollution. So they come there, and then when they see so much pollution in ocean is 71% of our planet. And at this point in time, if you take a figure of, pluck out from the internet, say by Ellen MacArthur Foundation, 1 truckload goes every 30 seconds into the ocean. That's huge. And we saw at Versova, we're seeing it all the beaches in Mumbai. So we get them in the flashpoint of pollution, and then go home and think, what are the changes can you do as an individual? Because after all this, whatever you see in the environment, which I call legacy waste, it's all come from our households. Somebody bought that product, somebody bought that biscuit packet, somebody bought that chocolate wrapper, somebody bought the small shampoo sachets, somebody bought those chili powder, this powder, and all the small sachets, 50 gram, 100 gram. And then after using it, they didn't know what to do it and it's gone. So beach cleaning, let me clarify, is to get people to understand what pollution is and go home and make those changes. Now, coming back to your question, what drove me? See, I'm a constitutional lawyer. I did my master's in constitutional law, and my whole career was based on understanding what made the freedom fighters make that very constitution which we swear by now. You know, if somebody tries to stop our conversation right now, Sonal, imagine if the cyber cell says, shut this, it's not allowed. We'll all turn around and say that we have a freedom of speech and expression in this country. Unless until we violate a law, you can't shut me up. So those are the rights you derive from the Constitution. And when I was studying it, two things came to my mind and that drew my inspiration. One is, the life of our freedom fighters. It's almost 70 years. A lot of people have forgotten, youngsters don't even remember that. But what happened in this country between 1910 and 1947 was a historic and momentous occasion for human race. The whole freedom movement built up. What were they doing? Like, look at the life of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. I'll give you an example. He was a lawyer at Gujarat, very flourishing practice. He heard the call of Mahatma Gandhi saying, we need to do something for our nation. We are under a colonial rule. The colonial rule must go. The British Empire must move. He left his practice and went to be with Mahatma Gandhi. Eventually, he went on to become the deputy prime minister of this country. And I'm told, when he died, when he left this world, he had some 150 rupees in his bank account. Look at the journey of life. And these people then, and they were highly intelligent, they had high emotional quotient as well. They connected with the masses, they delivered for the nation, they built this nation up. If not for Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, I don't know how our boundaries would be secure. Look at the life of Baba Sahib Ambedkar. So when you read people like Baba Sahib Ambedkar, Mahatma Gandhi, small youngsters like Khudiram Bose, and I read a lot about them at an early age of my life. And then as a lawyer, I thought I must do something, on those lines. My life will not be complete. And now thousands and thousands of volunteers' life is not complete. They did great sacrifice. We are not supposed to give up our profession or, our career. I say 2 hours in a week. Imagine after 168 hours, Sonal, if all us step out for 2 hours, what a change it can be. In Mumbai, we are 20 million. If 20 million, even assume 50%, 10 million step out for 2 hours, Mumbai will be a different city in terms of environment, in terms of civic sense, in terms of whatever. And this philosophy which these freedom fighters did got embedded in our constitution. And this is the constitution philosophy of your duties. Like you may ask for a right, saying that I have a right to life, right to peaceful existence. These days the noise pollution angle is talked about. Supreme Court order talk. We say that, oh, we must be left alone. You can't disturb me early morning with such high blaring noise. That's all good, but the Constitution has a other side. The corollary of this is you must, as a citizen, fill up your duties. And one of the biggest duty enumerated in the Constitution is Article 51A small g, which says that every citizen of this country is bound under the Constitution to protect and preserve Mother Nature. I mean, where could you find such a beautiful written Constitution? And all of us are oblivious. And, we are oblivious. I'll take back to that whole thing of, I always say that all of us are defined by our garbage. So go home, check your garbage. If your garbage is negligible, unnecessary packaging is not there, you're not troubling Mother Nature. That's what you are. But if you keep on buying, irresponsible consumption, irresponsible production, of course, we need to live. We need the necessary things, unnecessary things which we do. Like, for example, when you go to a vegetable vendor, you could very carry your bag, but we want to order online. We want to get 10 of plastic. And India has a beautiful system. All our mothers, grandmothers got and bought vegetables in their own bags. Now you will say, Afroz, what difference does it make one bag off the handle? Imagine if 1.5 billion does it, 1.5 billion less plastic bag produce. Carbon footprint reducing drastically. Then the second aspect, once it is handled, then it's thrown. But there's no value attached to it. So all this, when I, as a young person, when I studied and read all this, and I said, this has to be done. Our freedom fighters did it, and we face a different problem now. We don't face a problem of being colonized, but we are facing the biggest threat to our existence is, what has got wrong with Mother Nature. global warming, plastic pollution, ocean plastic, landfills filling up, deforestation, you name it, 100 other things, food wastage, the amount of garbage we generate, 100 things, and each one of us owe it to the planet and the other species. We don't live alone, so on this planet. We coexist with a whale or a shark or a turtle. They also have a right to life. No? When you buy a plastic, I'll tell you one of the instances from Norway Sutra where I went to clean up. The Norwegian civil society and the government there had invited me. I was quite surprised. Norway is a clean country. Why are they calling me? And I went there. I went to remote islands there, fjords, full of plastic, And the Norwegians are not doing it. Somebody in UK are dumping those waste. Somebody in Germany doing through the river system, it's coming out.
Okay.
So that is one aspect, that how do you coexist with? So these are what inspiration which drives me, to do what I do. Yes, Sonal, you can ask another question.
That one switch, I mean, we are all outraged by all of this, right? We all see plastic and we see pollution all around us. What is that one trigger that drives someone to do what you've achieved? I mean, all of us are equally, moved by all of this that we see around us. What can that one trigger be? What do we say to ourselves? What is that internal conversation we have to say, let's do something about it, even if it's tiny?
I'll tell you, there are two things which come to my mind immediately. One is, you see, we have lost the sense of belonging to Mother Nature. If you ask anybody, what is your asset? How do you draw your asset liability? What do you do in life? You will always come around to your workplace and your immediate home, your blood relative, maybe your mother, wife, nothing wrong with it. Okay, nothing wrong with it. But that sense of belonging to that, this river is mine, this lake is mine, this ocean is mine, this mountain is mine, that we have lost. And that's the biggest missing link, because all of us tell to ourselves internally, it's okay, I may be generating garbage. It's okay, I must be a responsible consumer. It's okay, I'm a company which produces plastic which they don't throw back. It's okay, I'm a company which does what you call warm up the planet. And it all must be done by the government. We have paid our taxes, we have voted. Yes. And then let's chase the Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And if you're in the state of Maharashtra, let's chase the Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray. Or let's chase the Environment Minister Aditya Thackeray. So all our narrative is vote, pay taxes, chase them. So I am coming to that point. If we get our sense of belonging inside, saying that I'm living near a beach, this beach also belongs to me. It's not only the government duty. I should go there. I'll tell you, I'll narrate to you some examples which I experience every day. Warsaw Beach is almost 95% completely clean, 5% maintenance plastic we do. Every high tide throws some plastic, we pick it up, along with the local municipality.
Right.
I'll tell you, now we are running a program for 50 days. Look at what, that sense of belonging, what it does. I have not slept, sorry, you may say, be seeing dark eyes of mine. For past 50 days, I get up every day at 4 o'clock. Okay, my job is this. And let me tell you, I'm highly inefficient at this time, but you require inefficiency to make things work. My job is to stop open defecation on the beach. Hundreds of people used to shit on, pee there at the beach. So I'll give you an example of the first day when I went. In front of me at 5:30 in the morning, there's a girl called Sangeeta, there's a boy called Krish, and there's a boy called Arpit. All brother, sister, 864. They were shitting in front of me. Imagine, we are sitting, volunteers are sitting, the local police station I've called, the BMC I've called, and I said, we'll act like Mahatma Gandhi. We'll explain to them, and what I call it now in 21st century, we'll do potty training to them. Imagine a lawyer stepping on a beach to potty train people who shit there.
Yes.
And I'll tell you what happened. So Sangeeta said, when I told her, don't shit here, it's not good on the beach, you should go. She started making faces, and I said, tomorrow you don't come. If I see you, you see what I'll do. Anyway, all the 3 kids went away. Next day again, they were shitting. Look at that, that human interaction which you do, which you ask, what one thing, that sense of belonging. And she said, no, again, second day making faces. Again, I went to the mom. I said, why aren't you teaching her that she should not teach? We are guarding now. How do we lift her and both the kids there? So the mother said, I try to hit her, I abuse her, she doesn't listen. All random stories. Gone. Then the third day, I devised a good way. I said, before she lands, we'll go to her house. So 5:15, we were at her house. We said, come out of your house. Let's go to the loo bathroom. 3, 8, 6, 4, I'm potty training. Imagine at 5:30 at the beach. So these are few of the stories which I'm narrating. There are hundreds of stories like this. So she says, I can't go. अभी pressure नहीं आता है. हम लोग बोलते हैं उसको बोलते हैं सुबह pressure नहीं आता. 8-year-old girl telling me अभी pressure नहीं आ रहा. So I smiled back to her. I asked her, how do you get pressure to go to the loo? So she says, sir, I need tea and biscuits. So I said, okay, we'll get you tea biscuit. We got it. Tea biscuit. And she said, Abhi, after eating 10 minutes, she said, Abhi pressure aa raha hai. I said, chalo. So first day we did a potty training. Next day I got her poha, third day upma, fourth day omelette bread, bread butter, every day different. Now after 50 days, she's completely potty trained. So I'll put a picture out. She takes her own utensils, fills the water up, goes to the loo, comes back, all three of them. Now these are small things. When you get in the people there, that Sangeeta saying that, Sangeeta, it's all fine, but you should go to the loo. You're 8-year-old. You can't openly defecate at the beach. We'll give you that support. And that support comes from where I feel a sense of belonging to the beach.
Yes.
Imagine if I had not felt Sonal, why would I go at the beach? I mean, we all are rich people. We can go to Maldives and where not to Seychelles, go to Cancun in Mexico. We can all have a good time at Malta. But the point is, we have such a beautiful ocean here. Bombay has 19 beaches, 5 rivers. And imagine we in 21st century are struggling with open defecation. Let's say about the plastic. So that sense of belonging is one very, very important thing. Second, to answer the question, you see, we as a race, we talk a lot and do little. You must change this narrative. We all will say, I love my country. On 15th August, you'll see 26th January. I love India. And if you ask anybody what you do for India, your eyes will come down. Except for paying your taxes and voting somebody in. There are a host of other duties you owe under the Constitution and the moral obligation of existing vis-a-vis other species. So what I'm trying to say, if you do more, and when I say more, see, people in the corporate world, they're busy, they have a tight schedule, they're working. I urge every week, 2 hours, you get it out for this country and for this planet. For God's sake, please do that. We are 1.7 billion and 7 billion in the world. We are all talking. And that's what I understood. As a lawyer, we argue so many cases at the High Court. Arguments go on for 2 hours, 4 hours, few days as well at times. And what is being done at the ground? So we all must learn to do and talk less. That's very, very vital, and get a sense of belonging to this country and to this planet. So these two things, if you start with, then rest are all consequential. So when you start doing this, for example, I'll tell you, I carry always my tea coffee mug. When you go out, you go to a tapri wala on the store, or you go to upward outlet like Starbucks or McDonald's, 10 types of packing. So I carry my own tea coffee mug. All must do this. Carry your own water bottle, for God's sake. Good old days, we all did that. And you will say, what difference does it make? I buy one pet bottle or two. Sir, I do it twice in a year. Imagine if you spread it out over 1.5 billion popper, this planet is not able to handle. Each one has got one plastic attached, and that one becomes 1.5 billion in a matter of few seconds. And this planet is not, we are the only species, Sonal, who produce non-biodegradable and non-compostable waste. Every species, whatever they produce is biodegradable. The mother nature absorbs it. And we are the species, we can't. First of all, we are too many, Sonal. I must warn that we are too many. 7 billion for a planet of this size, it's impossibility. All are running around, get exhausted by August. So you live on surplus extracting from the planet from August to December, which cannot be regenerated. The planet is not in position to do. So these two aspects, I think I will urge everybody, sense of belonging, do more and take baby steps. Don't do too much. A lot of people think, I've come to change the world and I must change the world. I am not under a hallucination that we are not Mother Teresa's of this world. We are normal people who do normal activities, and I urge you that you become big and great by doing small things. Like if you start carrying your own water bottles, carry your own tea, coffee mug, carry your own tiffin. At airports, I'd give my tiffin. Airports, sometimes you're hungry, you want a burger, you want something to eat at the airport, you have waiting period for 4 hours. Just put your tiffin forward. And I have it in my bag. I carry it all the time. It's all easy, doable. We require just a small shift, Solan, in the head, saying that, oh, this is so simple, this is so basic, and this is my love for my country and my planet. And hence I must.
I hear you, because we saw your videos and you saying my ocean, my beach, my river, and that's just, I mean, it is indeed our ocean. It is my ocean, like everybody else's. It's a shared world, and that sense of belongingness that you're talking about becomes so apparent. There's one question that we've received here, which is very interesting. It says, "How do we find our figurative ocean or beach or turtle to kind of conserve or protect or nurture or clean? You know, where is a good place to start?"
At your home, Sonal, at your home. If you, I'll tell you, I'll relate a thing which I saw in Norway, in Sutra, and I can tell you many instances from my beach as well. So in Sutra, there was a whale which had become suicidal.
Really?
Yeah,
A whale?
suicidal. A whale becoming suicidal unheard of, the whale would want to come at the beach and go back. The scientists were struggling for 2 days. They would put a tugboat and take her in and leave her in. And they said, why is this suicidal? They were attempting all kinds of solutions. Finally, they took a call after 2-3 days that we'll get a gun and kill. So they got a gun. It was a scientific decision. They killed the, and when they opened the stomach, 120 kgs of plastic, 323 cups of coffee cups. Imagine what a trauma that whale was going under. Her stomach had this much. She thought her stomach is full. And then that plastic was not degrading inside and it was troubling her. I'll tell you of my beach, a turtle, a female turtle aged 38 years came at the beach. And when I saw it, the female turtle was actually crying. So can you believe, have you seen an animal cry? My God, I felt terrible. It had plastic in its mouth and in the anus, she had a plastic in the mouth. Can you imagine a female species of human race having plastic in the mouth and anus? How revolted we will feel. And at the back of her anus, one crab had caught on to her because the plastic was rubbing against her, flesh, bleeding, and the crab started eating. So the moment we removed the crab, the tears stopped. Imagine what pain she was going through. We got her out. We got called for a vet. We dug a well for her to revive her. For 3 days, she survived. 4th day, she died. And Sonal, let me tell you, all of us are responsible for all this. We can't escape from this shame we have put on ourselves by doing things which are so easy avoidable. I mean, can't you have your tea, coffee without a mug? Can't you give your own mug? Starbucks, take for example, Starbucks runs a scheme. It gives you a discount if you take a reusable one. People are not ready to. I see people who are celebrities and who are in the zone where people identify them carrying straws and God knows what not. They think they live all alone on this planet. So this is one thing that, where do you find your ocean? At your home. If you reduce all this, your mother nature is absolutely a doorstep and you have done your bit. You then you get a moral right to tell others, why aren't you doing it? Can we all do it? People, leaders who stood for like last 300, 400, who are respected for what the work they did, all of them led by examples. Surprisingly, now we are in 21st century where leaders are not leading by example, leaders are leading by talks. Mics are taken and announcements after announcements after announcements. If you ask a leader, what did you do in your personal life? What is that small thing you can show? They'll have nothing to show. And when I say leader, not only political leaders, all of us, everybody who gets a mic or a stage tells, I want to do this. If you ask that you want to do it or you're planning, what have you done? So these small things at your home, if you start doing all these small things, it can bring about a big change if all of us do. Like we run a program, Sonal, I'll tell you, as part of our work and as part of my foundation's work, we supply vegetables every week around 5 metric ton without a single-use plastic. So easy to do. Then we supply soaps without packaging directly from the factory. Then we supply shampoos. I mean, it's all so doable. So doable. Of course, in some tight situation, you require a PET bottle to drinking, like on a travel, you can't locate a water, you can understand. But not in a city like Mumbai or Chennai or Delhi or wherever you are, where your water bottle can be carried with you. So we need to change that narrative, start doing little baby steps, and you'll find the ocean, Mother Nature, there at your doorstep. Otherwise, you see where one of the location where we work in Mumbai, River Meeti, we are training people up for circular economy to reduce garbage. People over there tell us that 30 years back, they used to swim in that river. And now it's become a siva.
Yes.
From people who used to drink water from that river, it's become a siva. So now our job is saying that, okay, things have gone too wrong. But let's start. Let's make a beginning. We don't know whether Mithi River will eventually flow properly, maybe in 5 years, 10 years down the line. But at least a start has been made. A work has been. So now first 3 kilometers, you see, not a single plastic goes into the river. What an idea. So everybody keeps it. Then we do a household selling of all these items. We have planned to open a plastic free shop there. You know, every slum in Mumbai should have plastic free shops.
Wow.
And that's how we'll solve the problem, by doing these small, small things.
And which brings me to the question of how do you then galvanize people around you to be participants in this journey with you? How do you get them to volunteer along with you? Because it's not easy. I mean, even just looking at visually, and you spoke about how you clean up the toilets in the slum areas as well,
Yes.
which were really, I mean, muck deep, feet after feet of muck, and you clean those toilets so that the slum dwellers could use them, so that they wouldn't relieve themselves on the beaches. This is difficult work. How do you mobilize people to volunteer with you on something like this? I mean, I'm sure we will take up perhaps easier tasks and would be inspired to understand how we can take along other people in this journey.
I'll tell you, you know, my work I call Date with Ocean. So many of you all must have dated females and males. Many of you all must have got married by now, or many of you all are in love with your mother and father, or many of you all get attached to your siblings, your brothers and sisters. Well, how do you get all this done? You'll say, my God, how could you get attached to the whole family? How you respect them, whatever. There's a 4-letter English word called love, Love. And that's in short supply at this point of time. We like to form opinions, sometimes subjective, sometimes objective. We like to take position. We have our own prejudices and biases. But what we don't do at this point of time is love. You know, we don't share our lives. Look at our freedom fighters. Mahatma Gandhi's message was love. Baba Sahib Ambedkar, when he spoke about the Dalit community and people who were ostracized for centuries, he spoke about love. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, of course, used a stick, but he was in love with every countryman. The riots in Delhi in 1947 were troubling him. You know, the rebellion in Hyderabad was troubling him. The Maharaja of Kutch, who wanted to go away to Pakistan, that was troubling him. And he did use love among the countrymen. Of course, with the enemy was stronger. So love is in short supply. What I saw at my, first 3 months, I was all alone. So imagine a 3-kilometer beach with the 5.5 feet of garbage, I all alone cleaning.
Yeah.
And I told myself that if I stop today, nobody will ever do what had to be done. This planet requires love and caress. And I stood firm and gritty, and I connected with thousands and thousands of my volunteers, thousands of school kids with love. If I had time, I can narrate you more than 100 cases minimum about what love changed their life from what they were. People who are openly defecating now on that beach with love are protecting the beach. The ones who openly defecated on the beach, now they're telling others, don't do it, we must protect this beach. It's a turtle nesting site. It's a clean beach. Tourists must come there and people must swim in this water. People must walk on the sandy beaches. So that's what with love, and love requires spending time, like if you're married and if you have a husband or a wife and you want to say I love you every day, it doesn't work. No, the husband says, come on, let's go out for lunch, dinner, let's have time, let's go for a vacation. Why do you go for vacation? Spending time. So love builds up over a period of time, and love is in short supply. If you use especially among Indians, all of us, if you use love properly and honestly and correctly, people get attached to you and get connected. My movement, the whole movement I based on love. So if you come to my house or, at our offices or a beach, hundreds of people are smiling, laughing, sharing meals, talking about saying that, can we push the envelope a little more? Can we do this by hand holding? Hand holding is the key. We don't do that anymore, Sonal. In our country, we don't do that. People meet with accident, nobody takes care. I'll give you one little example on this love. We run an off-street program where we, in Mumbai, we go around the streets, people who beg on the streets, we take them along with us. And they have two problems. One is the economic problem, they have no money. And second is, more importantly, not being accepted by the society. Nobody talks to them. Nobody says hello to them. Nobody shares an email to them. Nobody shares food with them. Nothing. So what we do, we get them, and on waste management, imagine they become our family. You'll see them, I have a blind woman called Gulabo, who's just working for past 1 month with us. Every morning she comes with a smile. She has no two eyes, and she says, "Good morning, sir," with a bright smile. I said, "Good morning," and then you go and sit with her on the segregation center, all plastic. With the noise, she picks it up. Imagine. So she
Wow.
identifies particular plastic with the noise in her ear, saying that this makes this much noise, hence it's PP. This is less noisy, hence it's LDPE. So those kind of how it built up, because she it was possible she could have worked 5 years, 10 years back. What triggered in her that is that love. We share meals, sometimes at the beach, if you come, 70, 80 of us are eating food together. Like today we were having poha, tea. You don't see that in Mumbai. You can hardly have a meal with somebody at your home, and
Yes.
you're cut short on time. So we must learn to give little time. And nowadays, a lot of people talk about alternative happiness is also a happiness which we must strive for as an individual. The happiness which is told to you, the wealth and the whatever, it's good to create wealth. Nobody's saying don't create wealth, but there are other forms of happiness also which must touch our lives and which must get to make it a holistic thing in this planet.
So in a journey like this, where you're not looking at any immediate gains at all, how do you deal with setbacks? And that we've seen that there have been, unpleasant incidents as well. There will be detractors, like with everything else in life. How does one deal with challenges that come up along this journey?
I deal it with a smile. See, when you're in love, you do everything, don't you? I'm sure everybody has been in a point of time love with their partners or wives. So we do that. In love, you don't get demoralized. You said you want to win over the love if there is challenges. To tell you, in past 50 days, I'll give you many examples of what tough challenges. Imagine to stop people to openly defecate or to pee on the beach. I had to call police 4 times. Can you believe it? I was physically attacked, me and my volunteers. So one drunken man actually took a bottle and tried to hit my volunteer. So we had to duck. And when I came, he came on my face. So that time when it becomes violent, you call police. So, and we are not unnerved at all. We are just not unnerved, because I know that the man who's making that he's drunk at times, then he doesn't understand why he shouldn't openly defecate. And by the time, in 4 hours, when the police picked him up and we started having conversation with him, I told the police, don't register an FIR, but we'll try to, we Indians are good of having conversation, whatever. And now his wife came to me the other day and he says, we don't throw garbage at the thing. We have stopped openly defecating. See that little conversation, a person who tried to attack you physically. So these are what you call challenges in your love life. But they are surmountable. There's nothing which is saying that, oh my God, I'm defeated. I can't continue. I'm mentally disturbed. I'm physically disturbed. The only thing I'll tell you, Sonal, which I face now, there's shortage of time on my hand. There's so much to be done. 24 hours too short. So I get physically exhausted at times. Very much. So I want to sleep actually a little longer. But
We won't keep you for very long. There are just a couple of questions, and we've got some messages here as well. There's one question that says, how important is education and empowerment? You spoke about the importance of hand holding in this journey to take people along, to educate them. How important is being, one is just doing it and focusing on the task, but how important is it to educate and empower people along with you as you go along? And what can one do to be mindful of that as well?
See, I'll tell you the two words you have used, Sonal, and somebody who's asked this question, education and empowerment. Education and empowerment had a definition in 1970s and 80s because there was no internet, there was no information free flow. So people said education and empowerment means giving them what we understand in traditional sense, schools, colleges, conversation, enlightening them about the problem. But in 21st century, to my mind, let me tell you, and this I say purely from my experience with working with people at the ground for past 8 years, I can say very clearly to you, to my mind, education and empowerment is closely connected with how people react down there. And it's not about academic writing. The reaction and reaction which happens on a second basis is what education and empowerment should be. Okay. Otherwise, you make people write what you call environmental subject. In schools these days, you have called environmental science.
Yes.
Yeah, and you keep on writing papers. I have so many interns who work with the young people whom I'm teaching, 18-year-old, 19-year-old. And they also feel, they come back and tell me, sir, when we went at the field, there was something else. So education empowerment must move from the traditional sense to a vibrant and fluid sense, where education and empowerment must be on day-to-day basis. The friction between two human beings, one who wants to give education and empower, or one who wants to share education and empower, and the friction between somebody who wants to receive, that friction will decide what the education and empowerment be. The friction mostly will be on the positive side. So you'll have to do it practically and not theoretically or hypothetically or writing papers, making PPT presentation. You must do all that after that friction has crystallized into something concrete in front of you. Once it has, by your practical experience, please put it wherever you want. But we work reverse way. First, we prepare a theory in our head. After preparing a theory in our head, we go to implement that theory.
Yes.
It doesn't work. It hits you back. And then you say education empowerment, what happened in 70s and 80s. So where DD News of 10-15 minutes gave us education about what's happening around the world. In schools, when you went, you had to write papers, sometimes a 3-hour paper. You had to complete this many questions, this many answers. Rote learning was the way then, where people did rote learning, and they said, higher the percentage, the better you are as an individual, the better acceptance is. Now we know in 21st century, there are other facets of education empowerment. And we must adopt as a nation, as a sensible human race, a 21st century understanding of education and empowerment. And that is that friction which I told you. My friction with that 8-year-old Sangeeta, I'm empowering her now. Imagine a girl at 8-year-old is getting empowered to use her body properly. She needs a privacy to do a loo. That's the best empowerment you can give to somebody. Then she comes and sits and shares a meal. She feels inclusive. She says, oh my God, no, nobody even told hello to me on the beach. I was some little girl in a slum. And I can give you thousands of examples we work. So education and empowerment is important, but the length and the breadth of that education and empowerment must be of 21st century. That is vitally important. Otherwise, we'll be stuck in a time warp of what we did in 70s and 80s, doled out leaflets, came on television, talked about the problem, and told them these are possible solutions, please do it. We'll have to lead by example. We'll have to show them how it is done. And for that, which I told you at the start, 2 hours in a week, every one of you who's listening to me, please, for the sake of human race, for the sake of this planet, for the sake of the nation, step out. Step on the pedal out. It could be the smallest thing which you do, but please do that. It's very, very important and vital for our survival as a human race. Otherwise, we are standing at a disaster catastrophe. You know, and I live on the beach at Warsaw, right? My apartment block is right on the beach. Last year, you know, 2 cyclones struck Mumbai, closer to Mumbai. My whole flat was shaking like how. Now I'm thinking in my head, should I leave my flat and buy an apartment like somebody else? Because it can be dangerous on coastal scene. Imagine we have come to that situation. Yes. Global warming, the sea levels are rising. Plastic pollution is on the rise. People are talking about 1.5 degree. Please do it now. Please do it now. I don't know when will you do it. Who will do it? You, me, the Prime Minister of this country, the Chief Minister of the state, the MD of Vedanta, the Chairman of Vedanta. Who will do it? That's the question we'll have to answer as human race.
Right. And we have just 2 final questions. One from a mother of a 4-year-old, Sandhya. She's asking us, so from with your experience working with school children and youngsters, little children, how can we condition our little children to ensure that they don't turn up like us and they're a far more responsible generation when they grow up?
My first advice, Sandhya, if you're living near a coastal city, take your child as early as possible to a beach or a
beach. Yeah.
Odisha. Take them. You may not. She's in Odisha.
Yeah, she's in Odisha.
Try to take the kid as close to the nature as possible. See, we humans are very ingenious. You know, a small kid also is very receptive to what's going on. So try to connect. You know, my connection with the lakes and the river beach happened because my father took me to all these places early when I was 4-5 years old. So my father used to take me for fishing, used to take me near the beach. So I got attached. When somebody gets attached to Mother Nature, then they do all the things possible. You don't have to teach them anything. Then the human ingenuity rises from inside and said, oh my God, this looks to be the problem. This looks to be the problem. Let's do this. Let's do this. You know, the fact that we are disconnected to Mother Nature, and since we as parents are disconnected, we have made the kids disconnected. So please, Sandhya, I will urge you, your daughter, you take to the Mother Nature as much as you can. Second, whatever problem you see, say for example, you've gone to a forest and you see plastic around, speak to her. I have had kids as young as 3-year-old at the beach cleaning, and they are actually training their parents after
Yes.
picking up. Imagine, and I'll give an example of a senior IS officer. I don't want to name him now. He told me a very interesting thing. He said, Afroz, my young kid, she was 8. She said, she saw your video, and after seeing the video, she's made sure that at my office, which is a government office, she said, don't get PET bottles. You will serve water in a bigger can now. Imagine 8-year-old girl pushing. And after listening to me on video and coming to the beach, she said, no, you can't do that. She told the father. And when your kids tell you something, mother, father, listen.
Yes.
Just get them to the mother nature, and they see problems, just expose them to mother nature. The biggest problem is you go to the slum where I do work. 60% youngsters are on the mobile all the time. There's a beautiful ocean in front of them. There's a beautiful beach. So my journey is to move the mobile from that hand for a few hours and tell them, can you run on this beach? Can you play on this beach? Can you remove plastic from the beach? Can you take a dip into this ocean?
We'll all have to send our children to you for some time. If you can do that for us, we'll be very grateful. And final question on that note, any message for corporates? How do you see with increasing focus on ESG from the corporate side?
Yes.
And this greater, we've self-imposed targets that we've taken for net governance quality, etc. Anything that you see we can do different, better, more of?
See, when an individual does it, it has a huge effect if you build the chain. But when a corporate does it, it's a systemic effect on the whole system. So corporates, I'll tell you, one of the problems which I see, I must honestly share with you, with lots of corporates doing that, they checks to some NGO under CSR fund, and they think they've done their social responsibility. I urge all the corporate to get involved into what you're doing properly. Don't take checks and take a report from them and say this is done with. So all the employees of the corporate must get involved in that activity which the corporate has chosen to do as part of CSR. Very, very important. Otherwise, you'll keep on tearing checks. I can tell you, after 10 Section 8 companies or trusts or NGOs, 9 are just accepting checks and just preparing some reports and giving it.
Checkbook philanthropy.
This is disastrous. Like, I work with so many companies, I tell them, no, your employees will have to come down. Like, I work with Adidas India. We do so many programs. All their runners are down. Like, on Sunday, we run Adidas runner, their shops in Mumbai, all of their sales staff come out once in a month. So Vedanta, if Vedanta Mumbai wants to do something, Vedanta Mumbai must step forward, saying that we have in Mumbai, say 100 employees. We are busy, we run companies, we are over responsible to the shareholders and the management for making an efficient company, a profitable company. But at the same time, we'll do 2 hours in a week, or maybe 2 hours in 2 weeks time. Can we do like in a month, twice, step out? So select a project which will have huge effect on the ground. Don't take checks. Select device. As when Vedanta wants to launch a new product in the market, you do so much research. Make sure the product is right fitting, and sometimes you fail, sometimes you win.
Right.
Sometimes it works. If the kind of work which you do must be done while doing good work. Good work doesn't mean money. So get involved. Say, for example, if Vedanta Mumbai wants to work with me, I'll prepare a schedule from them. So I'll saying that, this can we have fair amount of experience now. So we can say that, okay, out of 100, 10 people will do this for this 15 days, for 2 hours, you'll come out, do this. Then get involved financially. Then get involved. Otherwise, it will be all down the drain.
Right. Got that. And thank you so much. We understand that you did a lot as a certain amount of time, and we've exceeded it, but we're so grateful for your time and for your thoughts that you shared with all of us today. Thank you so much. We're hugely inspired, and we will be in touch for any more ideas sessions. And we wish you all the best on your journey. And we promise you that you'll have lots of volunteers from in our areas of operation and beyond, working towards preserving the planet. On that note, thank you so much, and
thank you, Sonal. Thank you, Sonal. Thank you, Richa, and thank you the whole team at Vedanta for having me.
Thank you, Afroz. Thank you for making out time at such a short timeline.
Yes,
we really, really appreciate that.
Thank you, and I wish we engage long term on other aspects of our work.
Yes, we will.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone. Bye. Have a great World Environment Day. Let's put some of these learnings into practice. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.